smoke's black when she walks through the door. A shadow that stretches across the stone floor. She carries the staff, she carries the sight, a piece of the morning in the heart of the night.
Satan, Satan, the staff hits the wood where the kings used to stand. Fate is a needle in a trembling hand. You asked for the rune, you asked for the flame, but you're too weak to carry the weight of your name.
Allah, the thread is unweaving. Allah, the truth is bereaving. The vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. She sees the high hall, she sees it in ash, the glint of the gold, the sting of the lash. She speaks to the dead, she drinks from the well. There are secrets the living are too frightened to tell.
The weird is full. The weird is full.
Across the foam where the gray sea dies, I see the gold in your mortal eyes. Leave the iron machine, leave the rust, leave the men who turn to dust.
I see the light, I see the shore, but my heart is tied to the threshing floor. How can I ride where the shadows go, when the wind of home is all I know?
Oonagh is calling.
Beyond the mist where the sea is new,
Leave the world of the gray and the falling. Hashi, Harun, I am calling you. 10,000 winters in a single breath, the land of youth, the end of death. Time is a cage, time is alive. Come to the land where we never die.
I took the saddle, I left the clay, but the ghost must see the hills, I must find my sword.
If you touch the ground, the years will strike.
The world is changed, it is nothing alike. I touch the ground and the ground turned gray. My brothers are bones, they have blown away. My skin is a shroud, my heart is lead. I wake among the ancient dead.
We are the pulse, we are the song. You chose the shore, you left the tide. The mist has closed on the mortal side. Hello? Is the mic working? Are we good? Hello, Camille, and Frost, and Bear, and Tyson, and Martin Knox, welcome in. And Milu, Crystal, you guys are already in here. We got Marina, Bethany. Monero's popped in momentarily. All right. And Molly Sue, hello. How's everybody been doing? Hello, Maddie. Welcome back. All right, I gotta get TikTok up. Okay. And it looks like we're good to go. Kind of washed out on Streamlabs, but I'm also very pale, so it could be me. Could very much be my problem. You can hear me? Okay, good. Way too much going on lately? It happens, right? Can't really avoid that. Just bear with it as well as you can, and hopefully you have some peace for a while when it's all said and done. Autocorrect does tend to cause problems more often than it is helpful, huh? It's funny. Okay. ¿Dónde está mi libro? No, is this it up here? Yeah, this is it. I like to take the cover flap off when I'm reading, and we kind of do that with all the books, so I gotta figure out which is which. Well, welcome, Thomas from Canada. We have some other Canadians in here. We will be continuing with Child of the Prophecy by Juliette Marier. Hello, Teresa.
let's see, how long has it been? It's been 10 minutes. I think that's fair enough amount of time for people to pop in. We are on YouTube also. We are also on Twitch. Most of our chatters are over on Twitch. It seems to be the easiest platform in which to interact with the other members. So, sorry. My throat's kind of Hello, Elaine. Welcome in. I'm 7 raccoons in a trench coat. Maddie, what are you talking about? Well, hello, Christine from Florida. It's always fun to see where everyone's from because just everyone's so scattered. So it's cool that we can all congregate here and enjoy a story. Okay, let me see if I can recall where we left off in this story. Okay, so Vanya has met Leiden, and tensions are rising. I'm drinking coffee. I kind of just stick with coffee and water since I don't really want to give up the coffee. How's Boo? Boo is good. He's good. He's just hanging out right now. But he is doing just fine. He was very snuggly this week, and he would get mad when I got out of bed. Be like, no, you're supposed to be right here so I can lay on you. Hello, Cassie. Welcome in. Okay. So, yes. So, Vanya has come to an agreement with Eamon. Eamon has made it clear that he desires her to be a mistress of sorts. And she's like, no, I'm not going to put up with that because what's in that for me, right? Like, she's not going to get much out of life if she's just somebody's mistress. And she also has other machinations in mind because she has her sorceress grandmother telling her to thwart all of their plans because she is the true antagonist of this story. Oh, yes, I should know by now I live to serve Boo, right, yeah. How could I forget? So, shame on me. But, yes, so, as they've come to this agreement, Vanya's uncle Sean and his sister Leiden show up. And they do not like the idea of Eamon wanting to marry Leiden. But he did agree to the marriage because Vanya said that she could use her sorceress skills in order to help him get his revenge that he wants on Leiden's husband. Very entrenched in this story, right? I accidentally used my phone with the Wi-Fi off somehow. So I used the 50 gigabytes I get at normal speeds. Oh no! 2 days. Okay, only 2 days. It's not terrible. That sucks, but you'll be back to normal soon, Bethany. I hate when that happens, though. That's why we just have unlimited now. You do it to me, Lou? Yeah, I don't know why that happens. We always, just somehow, some way. Let me know if my son is too loud. He is playing video games with his friends right now. And they get rowdy. I'm sure some of you know how that goes. Teenage boys. Okay, so we will continue, my friends. She was tiny, graceful, and well-mannered. She was completely in control. Eamon's folk snapped to attention and ran to do her bidding. I followed her, feeling like a clumsy giant, tongue-tied and awkward, until all was settled to her satisfaction, and she announced with no consultation whatever that she would share my bedchamber for the night, since that would be easier for all. As we made our way there by candlelight, I asked her bluntly, "Don't you trust me, Aunt?" She glanced at me sidelong, her green eyes coolly appraising. "I don't trust Eamon," she said grimly. I know him to be capable of many things. It seems taking advantage of young girls must be added to the list. Which he did, by the way. I did not reply until we were in the chamber, and the door closed behind us. Leodin had a little bag with her containing a night robe and a comb. It was plain she had not intended to stay long. I watched as she began to unpin her coil of plaits. "Are you angry with me?" I asked. She paused, giving me a very direct sort of look. "No, my dear," she said. "Not angry, just a little sad. I've been so looking forward to meeting you. Indeed, I've fetched you straight back, but Maeve needed me at Seven Waters and Ashling overruled me. If I had been there, none of you would have come near this place. Now the occasion has been marred for both of us, but the fault is Eamon's. Yeah. Not yours. I know you have acted in innocence. It could hardly be otherwise for a girl of your years." Now she had really confused me. "Looking forward?" I asked, sitting on the bed to take off my shoes. "Why?" "Why?" Leodin sounded astonished. "How can you ask such a thing, Fanya? Can't you imagine how it was for us to be cut off from Neve for all those years? Kjaran never let us near. Once he took your mother to Kerry, that was the end of it. I understood his reasons, but I could never agree that he was right. Neve was my sister, and Sean's. We loved her. It was a terrible blow to hear that she had died. And another to be prevented from seeing you. It is a gift that you are here, Fanya. A gift it seems we have come close to losing in our carelessness. We'll leave early in the morning. I don't want you to see Eamon alone again." "Love," I said bleakly. Why does everyone use that word? My Uncle Sean and Connor and the others. They did not show much love when they sent my mother away from Seven Waters. There was not much love in raising a young man to think he could be a druid, and throwing those long years of discipline and devotion back in his face. I don't believe love exists. Or if it does, it causes only sorrow and loss. My mother killed herself. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I had not intended to speak thus. I had wished to show control, but she made me angry, sitting there neat and pretty as can be, with her glib words of welcome. Couldn't she see, couldn't any of them see, that my father and I would never belong here? Couldn't they understand what they themselves had begun? "You're very like her," said Leodin softly, looking at me with those huge fey eyes. "Hello, King Cal." "Welcome back. Hope you are doing well." "Far more than you realize, I expect. Do you remember your mother at all?" I shook my head, furious with myself for saying too much. My discipline was slipping again, when I could least afford to let my guard down. "That's a shame," she said. "Neve could be quite difficult at times, blunt, even hurtful. She never meant it. She was just so full of feelings, bursting with them, that they spilled out sometimes. You cannot dismiss love, Fanya. If you do, it is only because you have not yet learned to recognize it. Neve loved your father, loved him more than anything in the world. She'd have changed her whole life for him, and did when it came to it. And he did no less for her. That's why it is so hard to believe." "What?" I slipped my nightrobe over my head as quickly as I could, for I did not care to undress in company. Leodin looked thoughtful. "That she would put an end to it. That her choice would be death. I heard her threaten to kill herself once, when she was still wed to the Oonagh. I had no doubt she meant it then. But to do it after Kjaran came for her, and after she had you, that always seemed to me impossible. I could not understand it. All she wanted was to be with him and to bear his child. She longed for that, and she loved you dearly, Fanya. I know it." "You can't know," I said flatly. "You told me yourself. You never saw her again after she went away. You can't know." I lay down on my bed and stared up at the ceiling. "Oh dear," said Leodin, and it sounded as if she were torn between laughter and tears. We have started on the wrong footing. I see that. Forgive me. I must keep pinching myself to remember it is you lying there, not my sister. For she'd just such a way of conducting a conversation when she was cross with me. I thought you said you loved her. Theoden sighed. Everyone loved her, Fanya. She was like a beautiful creature of summer, lovely, merry, and full of life. What happened changed her terribly. There was a great wrong done to her and to Kiaran. I acknowledge that. Indeed, your father and I spoke of it long ago. But Kiaran and I were never enemies. And as for Neve, she told me once how she wanted to have his child. I understood what she meant, for at the same time I was carrying my own son within me. Though his father was far away, and it seemed unlikely we could ever be together. I understood how much she longed for it. She kept hold of that hope, even in her darkest moment. Maybe, I said grudgingly. But she did not love me. How could she? If she loved me, if there were any such thing as love, how could she choose to die when I was too little to even remember her? I do know how she felt about you. Theoden's voice was soft but sure in the darkness, as she blew out the candle. I saw it. These visions are granted me sometimes. It was long ago, before you were born, that I saw this. An image of the sight. Neve was sitting in a strange place, a place of blue light and soft shadows, like a little cave half buried beneath the sea, where a gentle tide washed in. Neve and her child. The two of you are making patterns in the sand, careful and quiet. I'll never forget the look on her face as she watched you. After that, I found it hard to understand that she would. Her voice trailed off. For a while, I could say nothing. Her words had brought it back. The little cave beneath the honeycomb, the place of the margins, the refuge where I had sat silent many a time, alone or with Derek by me, watching the play of soft light on mellow stone, and let the pure sand trickle through my fingers, and heard the gentle wavelets washing in and out, in and out. That place called me back to Carrie. I tried to picture my mother sitting there on the little beach, watching as a tiny Fanya played on the sand. But that was all it was, a picture. I longed to remember, but I could recall nothing of her. Just as well, perhaps. I was in danger of feeling too much, and feelings only made things more difficult. At Leoden. Is it such an impossibility that I might wed Aemon? There was a long pause. Yes, she said finally. But why? I asked her. You know my background. Where else would I find a husband of such standing? Has he not honored me greatly by his choice? I don't understand. I won't talk of this here, Fanya, in this house. It was a tone which allowed for no discussion whatever. This can wait. You can wait. Unlike Aemon, you are only in your 16th year, and have all the time in the world. Now, best sleep, for we've an early start tomorrow. I said nothing, since I had no answers for her. I thought her asleep, but after a while she said, It is possible, you know, to wed for love. Indeed, our family has been noted for choosing to do so, against all odds. What? Come here. Yeah, come here. What are you doing? Just gonna sit under there and meow? Come here. What are you doing? Come here. Come on. Yeah. Come say hello. You're pushing the chair. Come here. Such a stinker. Hello, Kirk. Welcome in. Yeah. Milo. He's just being a goob. Wants to be loud for no reason. You know, like you do. Milo. Stop. What are you doing? He just had his arms like hanging over the couch, like halfway climbing up, and then gave up. Such a goob. It would be sad to marry with no more than security or strategic interest to aid your choice of a mate. Practical, maybe, but sad. Have you a sweetheart, Fanya? No, I snapped, much too quickly. Well then, said Aunt Leodin into the darkness. Sometimes attack was the best defense. Surely you did not wed for love, I challenged. Why do you say that? Leodin did not sound offended, merely surprised. Forgive me, but to all accounts your husband does not sound the kind of man for whom a girl would give up the prospect of an excellent marriage and leave her home forever. How did you meet him? There was a brief silence. As I recall, said Leodin, and I could tell she was smiling. His men hit me over the head and abducted me. I thought him quite fearsome in those days, and he considered me no more than a nuisance. So, I said, wondering if she was telling tales to make fun of me. You did not wed for love? Love found us and surprised us, she said softly. No. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I don't want it over there.
Oh, you changed it on purpose?
Yes.
But you have all of your chats here. You need to click through them.
Yeah, I don't want to click through them. That's the multi-chat.
All right. You can have as you like.
Just making things difficult.
That's what I do.
No, you don't.
Well, then if that's the case, then you need to move this over here so you have access to it.
Wait. Ads in 5? Okay. Joined from your post. Well, hello, Cole. Welcome.
All right.
Noah. All right, thank you. Well, now 3.5, yes. I see. So I'll wait for 3.5 minutes and then we'll let the ads run. I wed him for nothing else, Fanya. When you see this man, you might think him strange, wild. Most certainly not a dignified chieftain such as Aemon of Glencarna. Bran is no respecter of laws and conventions, save those he makes himself. And his appearance sets him apart as much as his reputation. But he is 50 times the man Aemon ever was. What is between us is beyond love, Fanya. He is my husband, my lover, and my soul friend. The one to whom I can confide the deepest secrets of the spirit. I hope one day you have the joy of finding such a mate, for nothing surpasses it. My aunt had a way with her. I was forced to admit it. I fell asleep with my fingers in my ears, lest I start to believe what she said was true. We were ready for departure not long after dawn the next morning. The girls were excited to be going home, and chattered like a flock of small birds until Sean silenced them with a firm but kindly warning. Aemon seemed withdrawn. Whatever had been said between him and my uncle, it had not put him in good humor. There was only one moment to be snatched, when Sean's back was turned and Leodin was answering some lengthy query of Clodagh's. The little horse which had carried me so bravely in Aethys' footsteps was saddled ready for me. Aemon had said I might ride her home since she seemed to suit me so well. I could hardly point out she might be too tired after her nocturnal adventure. Now I stood by the horse's side, and Aemon made pretense of adjusting the bridle. He glanced at me, his eyes narrowed, his jaw tight. "Promise me," he whispered. "Promise me you'll do what you said." My heart thumped. There was death in that look, a vista of shadow on shadow. Regrettably, I have no liberty this evening. Good night, and joy be with you all. Well, thank you so much, Kirk. Joy be with you as well. Have a good night. Thanks for coming in, even if it was brief.
I'm sure people say hello to me, and I just think hello to everyone.
Yes. Frost said hello. I'm sure most people understand that you come in briefly and then abscond. Okay. It's a bargain, remember? I said, shivering. There are 2 sides to it. How can you keep yours now? You doubt me. Eamon's hand clamped itself around mine, the fingers tight enough to bruise. I willed pain and fear into the background and stared back unflinching. Think you Frost? I will keep my part of it, if I can rely on you to do the same. If my uncle refuses this marriage, why should I take any such risk for you? He will not refuse. There is no room for question in Eamon's tone. He will comply with my wishes. They're fools if they don't realize what power I hold over them. Sean's endeavor cannot go ahead without me. I will have the painted man, and I will have you, make no doubt of it. Aye, promise me, Fanya. Is ads going?
They are now.
Okay. We gotta let the ads run on Twitch for 3 minutes.
You also have to take a drink. Somebody bought you a tiny sip. What do you want for your tiny sip?
I don't know. It's only really funny to do the tiny sip when Castle has to do it. Because he's so big.
I guess for the lady, it's just a regular sip.
Yeah, it's kind of almost normal. Almost like a little espresso glass. Silly. It's warm in here.
Yeah, just took
I opened the bedroom window too because it was just too stuffy. I'm getting my small sip, Maddie. Orange juice? Okay.
You have to cheers them first.
Oh, okay, sorry. Slancha. Hello, Fernando. This is so silly. It is my fault because I suggested it. But I thought it would just be for Castle. Oh, that's okay, Cassie. It's Juliette Marie.
You have a little special coaster over there for your little mug.
Oh, thank you.
And then I put water in the tanker.
Oh, thank you. See, I can have... And then the giant one. See, it's giant for me.
Stark contrast.
Yeah. It will never happen, yeah. Oh, thank you, Corey. He will get a treat. They get a churu every day. It is almost as big as my head. It's huge, yes. So if you ever get one, Milu, be prepared for it to be very large.
Part of that is because she has a tiny head, as you can see.
And Milu does too.
Yeah.
But yes, I have a tiny head. But you also have big hands, so. But yeah. Small. Smallish. But Juliette Marie, let me see if I can get the cover for you. You can see it.
Did a disappearing act over on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. It's like, there you go. Hopefully that's good for this is the first publication cover. If you get a new one, the covers are very boring. So if you can find a used one, I would suggest that. But it's totally just my preference. Hello, Chopsticks. Welcome in. I bought a kid's headset on sale for now. Yeah, I saw it, and it looked like it fit fine.
I think that Chopsticks is Hannah, if I remember right.
Is Chopsticks Hannah. But Chopsticks is fun. Excuse me. Oh, hello. What's up? Boo Boo just came over. Ooh. Feel you. Oh, big boy. You're so big. Oh,
Two pretty tits.
so big. Feel you. No, they both. ran away.
You want to stand up for a second so I can adjust your cowl here?
Sure. Ah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are doing good. King Cal says hello,
Well, hello.
or he says WB. Not really hello. I have to be accurate. What tea am I? An Earl Grey.
Or an English breakfast.
No, Earl Grey. Yeah. 100%.
Not a chai.
No English breakfast here.
But an Irish breakfast.
In that case, it'd probably be whiskey.
I was to say, what you do is
It wouldn't really be tea.
you steep your tea bag in whiskey and then you dip it back into
because
whiskey.
Earl Grey is superior to English breakfast. To me, English breakfast is like a watered down black tea.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, so no thank you. I also like dark roast coffee. Like, I think you will see a pattern in my drink preferences. I like bold flavors. You can't stay? Oh, okay. Well, that's a bummer. We do have the VODs. If you just want to listen in when you're able to, and that way you can keep up with the story. You love English breakfast? I liked it when I was younger, but then I just realized it needs to be Earl Grey, so... And I usually do, like, more Earl Grey than is usually called for, and then I make sure that it's not steeped too long, because if it's steeped too long, then it's really bitter. And yes, coffee. Of course, Maddie. Of course. Coffee is always a clear winner. Okay. Let us continue. I nodded, feeling the chill all down my spine. Say it. I promise. You will have what you want by summer. His grip relaxed, and he lifted my fingers to brush them with his lips. Then so shall you, he murmured. And that, too, I shall look forward to with keen anticipation, my dear. The waiting will try me hard, I fear. It should not be too hard, I thought, as long as Myri was available. I restrained the comment that sprang to my lips. Goodbye, Eamon, I said, and then my Aunt Leodin rode up alongside, and the moment was over. This is your entire escort? Eamon ran his eyes over the 3 men in Sean's colors, who now sat ready on their horses with the 4 little girls between them. This is inadequate, surely. I'm astonished that you would come out thus unprotected. I'd better arrange some of my own guard to ride with you. He frowned in Leodin's direction. Please don't, she said coolly. I've my own men. Really? Are they creatures of the other world that they render themselves thus invisible? I see no men. No, you wouldn't. They're good at that. I go nowhere unprotected, Eamon. Bran makes sure of that. He stared at her, wordless. Then he spat very deliberately on the ground at her horse's feet. It was shocking. A gesture quite at odds with what I knew of the man. For outwardly, at least, he was ever bound by what was correct. Leodin said nothing, but turned her horse and rode away with never so much as a glance behind. Oh, of course, no problem. Oh, okay, yeah. Now I understand. And yeah, no problem. I am happy to help find all of the resources needed for stuff. I know it can be frustrating, but that website is actually really nice since it has all those D&D compendiums on there for free. Quite useful, I would say. It was strange. We made our way eastward through Eamon's gardens and woods, past his fields and his settlements, and Sean and his 3 men rode ahead and behind, keeping a lookout. Though surely while we remained within the borders of Glencarna, there could be no danger. It was not until we had traveled beyond the wooded country and out into a terrain wilder more open, and studded with rocky outcrops that I became gradually aware of others riding alongside not so far away. A constant unseen presence. My skin prickled. I thought of otherworld creatures, messengers of the Tuatha De Danann maybe, come to follow me and find out my secrets. After a time they became visible, as if it had only now become safe to show themselves. There were 6 or 7 of them, and they did indeed have the appearance of some creatures from an old tale, for they were clad in all grey-brown, blending with the winter landscape, and over their heads they wore close-fitting hoods, which concealed their features save for the eyes, nose, and mouth. There was no telling these warriors one from another, and warriors they were. All were armed with dagger and sword, and some bore bow or staff, axe or throwing knife. I was alarmed, but the others continued riding as if the presence of these fearsome creatures was nothing out of the ordinary, and I realized belatedly they must be my Aunt Leodin's men. Now they had formed a silent guard all around us, and my uncle, whose role as part of the escort seemed suddenly superfluous, reined back his horse to ride by his sister, who was just ahead of me. Iris chose this moment to speak up. "Next time we go to Uncle Eamon's, I'm going to ride that big black horse," she announced brightly. "Fanya," said Deirdre, "are you going to marry Uncle Eamon? Clodagh said you were." "I did not," Clodagh exclaimed. "What I said was, who'd marry Uncle Eamon if they could have someone like Derek? You weren't listening." "I was too." "That's enough." Sean did not need to raise his voice to silence them. Deirdre scowled. She did not like to be in the wrong. "Who's Derek?" inquired Aunt Leodin casually. No one answered. It appeared the question was intended for me. "Nobody," I muttered. Leodin raised her brows as if she found my reply less than adequate. We rode through a narrow way between rock walls. The silent escort was before and behind. Their work a seamless demonstration of control, achieved with never a word. I was spared from response, as we must go single file. When we emerged, Clodagh answered the question for me. "Derek's a boy in Fanya's stories about the traveling folk. He rides a white pony." "Her name's Aoife," put in Deirdre. "They came when we were at Glencarna. We never thought they were real, but they came to see Fanya. Uncle Eamon sent them away." "He came all the way from... Clodagh faltered. "Cain Namara," I said grimly. "I gave the pony a carrot," Eilish must have her say. I could not let this go on any longer. "He's nobody," I said repressively, feeling Sybil's eyes on me as well as Leodin's. "He's just a boy I know from home, that's all. From Carrie. That old woman, the one who sits in your kitchen. Janice, I think her name is. She's some sort of relation. He came to see her." Sean and Leodin glanced at each other. "This is the lad who came to Seven Waters looking for you?" asked Sean. "One of Dan Walker's folk." "His son," I said. "Dan played the pipes at my mother's funeral," Leodin said softly. "That was the loveliest music I heard in my life, and the saddest. He must surely be the best piper in all of Erin, that man." "Derek plays better," I said before I could stop myself. My fingers moved up to touch the amulet. I must not speak of him. He was gone, forgotten. I had to remember that, so there was not the slightest reason for my grandmother to be put in mind of him at all. "Really?" said Leodin, smiling. "Then he must be a fine musician indeed." But I made no comment, and we rode on in silence with our strange escort keeping pace like watchful shadows. It was on the second day that it happened. We had stopped overnight at one of my Uncle Sean's outer settlements, and I had shared my sleeping quarters with the girls. This arrangement pleased me. Their incessant chatter would be wearisome, but anything was better than having to endure another of those strange conversations with my aunt. in which she seemed to comprehend so much more than I put into words. Aware that I must go on as I had begun, aware of the implications of what I had promised Eamon, I had no wish to let Theoden befriend me, or to reveal to her any secrets. Indeed, it was time for me to put aside all friendships, and concentrate on what must be done. I had to remember that. I must be strong. I would be strong, for had not my father himself trained me in self-discipline, and him a very good model of control? We rode along a narrow track overlooking a tree-clothed valley. It had been snowing in the night, and the pines still wore white dusting on their thickly needled branches. Sean's dogs raced ahead, leaving twin sets of neat tracks. It was still a day, the sky a mass of heavy low cloud. Between that and the encroaching trees, I could not escape the old sense of being trapped, shut in. I rode glumly along, trying to find, somewhere in my thoughts, a clear image of the cove, with the wild gulls soaring in the open sky, and the air full of the smell of salt spray, and the thunder of the ocean on the rocks of the honeycomb. But all I could see was my father's face, wasted and white, and all I could hear was his struggle for breath as he coughed and retched in his shattered workroom. Our horses picked their way carefully. Oh my gosh. All right. A mess. Always gotta happen once or twice, right? Our horses picked their way carefully along the track. It was quite narrow, and for a short stretch of the hillside went steeply upward on our right, and plunged sharply downward on our left, where tumbled boulders marked the side of some old landslide. 3 of the masked men were in front, and then my uncle, followed by Clodagh and Sybil. I was next, with the others behind me. Lucky, I thought, that my little horse was such a remarkable creature, for I still had no skills whatever in horsemanship. But this gentle mare knew the way, and could be trusted to carry me safely. I owed her a great deal. I had misused her, exhausted her, and still she bore me willingly. When we got home, I must ensure she had a rest, and care, and whatever it was horses liked. Carrots, maybe. It was sudden. There was no saying what it was, a bird or a bat, or something more sinister. It came from nowhere, moving swift as an arrow, swooping down and up again in complete silence, gone almost before I had seen it. My heart thumped in shock. The mare trembled and halted, but in front of us, where the shadow had passed, Sybil's pony shied, lifting its forelegs high, and she was thrown. There was no time to think. I saw her small, cloaked figure flying through the air, down toward the rocky slope on our left. I heard Deirdre's scream from behind me. The craft flowed through me, though I was barely conscious I had summoned it. The long years of practice served me well. Stop. The child hung suddenly in mid-air, suspended not 3 handspans above a jagged boulder where her small head would have struck with some violence. Now gently down. I made the necessary adjustments. A little to the right, so she would come to rest on a narrow ledge beside the ungiving rocks. Not too sudden. She would be frightened and might still fall. Now it was over. I was shivering from head to toe and incapable of speech, as if even this limited use of the craft had drained me. Aunt Theoden's men were good. Almost before Sybil had time to realize what had happened, 2 of them had descended the precipice to the place where she lay, and were supporting her small form to ensure she did not tumble down further. With reassuring words, they carried her carefully back up the track. Theoden, white-faced, checked the child quickly for broken bones. Sybil herself was remarkably composed. A sniff or two, a slight tremble of the lip, her only signs of distress. Eilish, on the other hand, was sobbing with fright. As soon as Sybil was pronounced unhurt, she was put up in front of her father, and our guard led us with quiet efficiency down the hill to a safe place under the pines, where we might pause for a little and recover ourselves. A small fire was made, tea brewed. I busied myself comforting the now bawling Eilish, for the last thing I wanted was questions asked. I had acted instinctively. I had taken the only course possible. If it happened again, I knew I would do no different. Yet I still wore my grandmother's amulet. I still trod her path. I sensed a change in myself or in the talisman I bore. Since the night she had come to me, the night when she had threatened to destroy all I held dear, it seemed I could no longer do her will blindly, without question. The amulet's power muted somehow by the cord which now bore it. My heart was chill. Perhaps today's incident had been mere chance, or maybe it was grandmother's doing, a kind of test. If that were so, there was no doubt I had failed it miserably. I had done the exact opposite of what she would have wanted. Perhaps I would never know. Perhaps from now on I would have to watch every fall, every little accident, not knowing. "You're such a good rider, Eilish," I said quietly, smoothing the child's curls. "When we get home, I'll tell your mother how you kept your horse under control, even when that happened, and were as brave as you could be." Slowly she grew calmer, and after a while Deirdre brought the two of us tea, and I watched from a distance as Theoden checked Sybil again, more thoroughly this time, peering into her eyes and asking her questions. The child's pony seemed none the worse for wear. It now stood by the others, cropping the meager winter grass. "Funny," remarked Deirdre. "When people fall off a horse, they usually just fall. But Sybil, she sort of floated the last bit. I've never seen that before." "Magic," hiccuped Eilish. "Like in a story." She could have died. Deirdre was thinking hard, but before she could reach any conclusions, Theoden was there beside us, and the girls were off to cluster around Sybil and ply her with more tea and questions. My aunt sat down by me on a fallen branch. Her expression was unsmiling, almost severe. "My brother did not see what happened here, but I did, Vanya," she said quietly. "At first I thought I was imagining things, but Sybil said Vanya saved me. I did not reply. You do not know, perhaps, that your father saved my life once, through the use of the druidic arts. You did a fine thing today, Vanya. Kieran would be proud of you. So quick, so subtle." Misery settled on me. I might have wept if I could. "You seem sad," said Leiden. "Do you miss him terribly?" Despite myself, I nodded. She said. "It's a long way from Kerry. I've wondered why Kieran did not come with you, for you are over young to make such a journey on your own. Connor would have welcomed him. I'm sure he would have welcomed you. Such talent would doubtless have my uncle busy trying to recruit you to the Brotherhood. He has never found another with your father's aptitude." "Don't be foolish," I snapped, furious with myself for letting feelings get the better of me again. "Our kind cannot aspire to the higher paths of druidry. We are cursed, and can never walk the ways of light." Theoden lifted her brows. Her eyes were the green of winter leaves in cool sunlight. Her face was snow pale. "It seems to me," she said softly, "that you've just disproved your own theory." She was wrong, of course. She did not know the other things I had done. Terrible things. She did not understand what I must still do. "You're shaking, Vanya. You have had a bad shock, my dear. Come, give me your hand, let me help you." "No." My voice sounded harsh. I would not let her look in my eyes and read what was in my mind. Perhaps she thought I did not know she was a seer. "I'm quite well, Aunt Leiden," I added more politely. "What I did was simply what one does. A small trick, no more. I'm glad I was able to help. It was nothing." She did not comment, but I sensed her gaze on me, shrewdly appraising. She rode home beside her brother, and they did not speak aloud, but both seemed very serious. I wondered if they spoke of me, mind to mind, in the strange manner of the Fovera folk, from whom, if my grandmother were to be believed, they had inherited this skill. Something had altered at Seven Waters since we had been gone. I could not quite put my finger on it. It was just as if the feeling had lightened, the shadow had passed, and an order and purpose had come back into the place. It was as if somehow the family had regained its heart. Aisling hugged her daughters, smiling. Maureen hovered behind us, and there beside her was Maeve, with a big bandage around her head. Her sisters rushed to greet her, all talking at once. "Careful now," Maureen cautioned. "It's only for a moment, then she's to go straight back to bed." There were smiles and tears all around. I stood back, for I had no part in this. I waited for them to be finished so I could go about to my room and shut the door to be alone. So I could go somewhere and not see. Saving one child did not cancel out harming another. It was not so simple. Hello, Michael Psycho! Welcome back. My gosh, my child. Are you just rated with 2 viewers? Thank you so much, Michael Psycho. I hope you had a lovely stream. Thank you for popping in. Okay. The girls were beaming, and Deirdre was blushing. The widest smiles, the most effusive greetings were not in fact for Aisling, or for Maeve, or for someone else entirely. Close by the family stood 2 more of Leoden's men in their plain, dark-colored clothes. Though they... I forgot that my son has a clown horn for whatever reason. Close to the family stood 2 more of Leoden's men in their plain, dark-colored clothes, though these 2 were not masked. I had thought them guards. Both were young. One took the eye immediately, for his skin was as dark as fine oak, and his hair was in braids, small braids like a druid's, but decorated with bright beads and scraps of feather at its ends. He stood by Maeve, supporting the child with his arm. I saw Maureen whisper something in his ear, and he smiled, a quick flash of white teeth. But it was the other young man who had my cousin's attention, though I could not for the life of me see why. He was an ordinary enough sort of fellow, pleasant-featured, shortish but strongly built, his curling brown hair severely cropped. He turned slightly, and I saw to my surprise the markings on his face, a delicately incised pattern of some subtlety which encircled one eye and swirled boldly onto brow and cheek. It was very fine work. There was a slight suggestion of beak and feathers, no more. Around us, the men who had made up our guard had dismounted in turn and removed their mask-like hoods, and I saw that every single one of them wore some similar marking on his face, mostly quite small, a few more elaborate, no 2 alike. Each had the hint of a creature about it: badger, seal, wolf, stag. I was the only one staring. To the others, this band of painted warriors must be a familiar sight. Thank you for taking care of the shout-out. And thank you for sharing, Jessie. Fanya. It was Clodagh, who had appeared at my side and was tugging my sleeve. "This is Johnny." The ordinary-looking young man was standing behind her, with a friendly grin on his patterned features. I gaped. This was Johnny, the fabled child of prophecy. This unprepossessing young fellow who seemed no different from one of his own guard. Surely this could not be right. I had expected... well, I had at least expected a warrior of formidable stature, or maybe a scholar steeped in craft and learning. Not someone who might just as well be a stable hand or a kitchen man. "So many cousins," Johnny said, "and all of them girls. I'm glad to meet you, Fanya. Maeve has spoken a great deal about you and told us all your stories." "Well, hello, sir." Decided to come back, huh? You were shedding like crazy. You can't have coffee. No coffee for you. Yeah, I know. I know. It's tragic. You're gonna get in trouble. No, nothing there for you either. No, stop it. You can't have orange juice. Poison. Just wants all of my stuff. Not sharing coffee, poor kitty being neglected. Yeah. I'd rather he not have a heart attack, you know? Call me cruel if you must. Come here. Why are you being... Oh. Thank you for that. Why are you being a busybody? If I can share something with him, I will. So he's just looking for anything on the desk. Stop. It's not food. Stop it. Stop it. You're gonna get in trouble. I know. Yeah, okay, fine, I guess. Yeah. He's all hyper right now for some reason. Okay. He reached out and clasped my hand. His grip was warm and strong. I looked into his eyes and realized on an instant that I had been quite wrong. His eyes were gray and deep. They assessed me quickly, recorded what they saw, and put it away for future reference. The man was clever. He was a strategist, and his smile was hard to resist. I found myself smiling back. That's better, he said. Now, here's my friend Evan, Evan's mother's apprentice. She'll tell you he has all the makings of a first-rate healer. He and Maureen have done wonders with young Maeve. The two of them make a fine team. He grinned at the dark-skinned man, and then at Maureen. Maureen blushed. Evan looked down at the ground. Then Leodin said Maeve should head back to bed, and in the flurry of greeting, getting indoors, and sorting out baggage, I was able to flee upstairs and into my own chamber, where I bolted the door behind me, though against what I hardly knew. I won't like him, I seemed to be saying to myself. I can't like him. That makes it too hard. I sat on the floor. Stop. I sat on the floor before the hearth, but I did not light the fire, for all the freezing chill of the winter day. I feared what visions I might see in its heat, the evil things that lay before me, those I might do myself, and those I might be powerless to stop. It should be easy, I told myself. It's a game of strategy. Like Brandov, you know what must be done, just do it. Easy enough to say. Things had indeed changed here at Seven Waters, and it was not solely that Leodin had come, and that Maeve was now improving faster than anyone had dared to hope. It was him, Johnny. You could see it in the way the men came to him for answers, and the way he spoke to them, friendly, respectful, but confident, as if he were a far older man, seasoned and wise. You could see it in his smile and in his bearing, in the way he wore his plain clothes with pride, as if being part of a team gave him greater satisfaction than any mark of leadership. Yet he was a leader. Older men fell silent to hear him speak. Women hastened to provide his meal or refill his goblet, and blushed when he offered a kind word. He was everywhere, drilling Sean's men in the yard, inspecting the building of a new barn, chatting to Janice in the kitchens. Often enough he could be found by Maeve's bedside, telling a story, or listening as she whispered confidences. It was his sweet smile that had warmed these halls, his ready offers of help that had brought the color back to Ashling's wan face, his counsel that Sean sought in the evenings as the men talked along over maps and diagrams. Because of him, the household had regained the sense of strength and purpose which had vanished at Samhain, the night of the fire. I had brought darkness. Johnny had restored the light. You gonna cause trouble? see you thinking about it. Better to be hyper now than when you're trying to sleep. Well, they get the zoomies at like 4 in the morning. Not always, but that's generally when it happens. Okay. It was close to Maingavra. Often at the cove, the weather was so wild in the season that the day could not be read from the stones. All was in shadow as clouds blocked the midwinter sun. Still, I would know. I would go up the hill in rain or gale and sit beneath the dolmen looking out to the west, thinking if I could see far enough I might catch a glimpse of Oonagh, Isle of Dreams. But I never did. Then I'd just sit, cloak up over my head against the wind, feeling the strength of the rock at my back like a great supporting hand, and I'd dream my own dreams of summer. Summer would always come. It was just a matter of waiting and being strong. That was all finished now, of course. I had said goodbye to the cove and to my father. I had sent Derrig away, far away where he could be safe. And for me, there could be no more summers. Ugh, whose hair is just floating around everywhere. It was necessary to practice. To do what I must, an exercise of the craft was required, which went far beyond what my father had allowed me to do. Indeed, he had expressly forbidden it, and with good reason. So, I must sharpen my skills again, discipline my mind, and make myself strong. Then, only then might I attempt a transformation from human girl to wild creature, and still more difficult, a return to myself. The prospect terrified me. What if I had overestimated my own ability? What if I condemned myself to life as a duck or a toad, or worse still, found myself trapped between one form and another? Then I would indeed be powerless to protect those I sought to shield from her. This was a potent charm, one of the most challenging forms of the craft. It drained the strength and taxed the mind. My father had not thought me ready to try it. What if that were still so? Time was passing quickly. Already in the chill of the solstice, it seemed men gathered for some imminent departure, and Aunt Leodin spoke of returning home. You think you're a duck in a human body sometimes? Why? Do you quack randomly? Even in winter's darkness, these folk set their gaze on summer's victory. It was not so long I must prepare. But how might I rehearse their skill here at Seven Waters? There was no solitude, no privacy save within the confines of my own chamber, and even there I was constantly interrupted. The house was full, the family busy, and my help in great demand for a variety of tasks, not all of which I was accustomed to. I learned things, but they were the wrong things. How to sew tucks into a bodice. How to preserve apples and honey and to make jellied pig's tongues. Ew. How to pluck a goose. The best way to doctor a sprained wrist. Quack under pressure. That's funny. In the evenings it was difficult to escape unnoticed. With the coming of Johnny and his band of painted warriors, supper had become a more festive occasion, followed as often as not by the telling of tales and the singing of songs. One of the young men had a fine voice, and another was not at all bad on the whistle. There was a small, finely carved harp in the household, and both Deirdre and Clodagh could coax a voice of some sweetness from its delicate strings. In Dan Walker's camp there had been something of the same sense of well-being, the same joyful fellowship. Strange, though. These were my own kin, and yet I felt less a part of this than I had that simple, colorful family of traveling folk. I thought more kindly of Peg, who had given me a kerchief with her smile, than of Aunt Leodin with her searching eyes and her silences. I heard their music of celebration and longed for the solitary lament of the pipes. I considered the forest. Out there, surely many places were open, untenanted. Clearings amid winter trees, deserted stretches of lake shore, great lichen-encrusted stones. Those were places well suited to the secret practice of craft. But I had no druid to walk by me, and the guards were many. Besides, who knew what strange beings looked on in the dark wilderness, all too ready to spy out my secrets and anticipate my moves? I could not go there. I was beset by doubts and terrified by my own lack of progress. If I left it too long, if I let myself think too hard about what I intended to do and what it meant, then I knew I risked losing the will to act at all. Now, when I touched the cord around my neck, it did not seem to focus my mind on the task ahead, but whispered a different message. You are a child of 7 waters, it told me. You are one of us. But I had not forgotten my grandmother's warning. She wanted to see progress. If there was no progress, then she would come back, and she would make others pay the penalty for my disobedience. Yet, when I put my mind to it, it seemed to me that no matter what I chose to do, the folk of 7 waters were doomed. I might protect the innocent from my grandmother's wrath by obeying her commands. If I did that, there would be no more fires or unexpected falls, or those other things she had listed, such as poisonings or disappearances. Those I sought to protect would be safe. Here at 7 Waters and in Kerry and far west in Cain-Namara, I might achieve that. But in the long term, if I carried out her quest, the battle would be lost, and the islands as well. If this family would be plunged into chaos and despair. Was not that a catastrophe far greater than the personal losses I sought to prevent? Indeed, if I heeded the voices of those who called themselves Old Ones, the failure to win the islands this time would signify no less than the passing of the great races of Erin. The fair folk, the older folk, the many and strange otherworld dwellers beneath the surface of things. As for the humankind, they would lose forever the mysteries of the spirit. What sort of man or woman could you call yourself without those? They would cease to be guardians of earth and ocean, and become no more than parasites living off them, with no heed for what it meant, with no regard for the sacred trust laid on them. Could it be true that this was my grandmother's intention? The choice I faced was no choice at all. Both ways ended in darkness. It was no more than I could expect, with the cursed blood that ran in my veins and in my father's. Tainted blood which meant we could never walk the paths of light. I was no child of 7 waters. Whichever way I went, I could do no other than destroy my kinsfolk and what they sought so hard to keep safe. I practiced as well as I could within the confines of my chamber late at night. In the mornings I would emerge white-faced, yawning and ill-tempered. Aunt Theoden watched me, her small, sweet features giving way in nothing at all. Aunt Aisling watched me too, frowning, and ordered me to rest in the afternoons, and her daughters to give me a little peace and quiet. I snatched the time gratefully and used it for more practice. I did not dare attempt the full transformation, not yet, but I grew ever closer. I warmed up with other things, the manipulation of objects, which had become easy for me, the dropping and catching, the subtle moving, the cunning adjustment of shape and size. I gave myself a fright with one giant cockroach. Fortunately, I was able to reverse the charm with a click of the fingers. I lost one spider, making it so small I could not see it to turn it back. I had not yet mastered the knack for performing this trick blind. I rehearsed transformations before the mirror, easy ones at first, since time was always limited. The prettier, more graceful girl of the fair, a very plain version with a squint and sparse frizzy hair, a matronly one with a child in her belly and wrinkles on her brow, an ancient crone who bore an uncanny resemblance to my grandmother. I did not keep that guise long, for it chilled me to think there might be a future in which I was just like her. then somehow more difficult. A Fanya who is about 8 years old, the same size as my cousin Sybil. This child stared at me from the polished copper surface of the mirror. Her features innocent, unformed, her hair flowing across her small shoulders like a cloak of fire. On her finger she wore a little ring made of wild grasses. And behind her, instead of the dark stone walls of my chamber, I saw the cliffs of the honeycomb, and the waves of the southern ocean, and the cloud-tossed sky of Kerry. I thought I heard my father's voice saying, "Well done, daughter. You've an aptitude for this." I made the change back to myself abruptly. Too abruptly, for I came close to fainting with the sudden loss of energy that accompanies such transitions. And when I looked back in the mirror, I saw myself wan and drained. Like some shadow girl, day by day, night by night, I polished these skills. Soon, very soon, I must take that last step. Girl into wild creature into girl. A letter came from Eamon. Not to me, that would have been inappropriate, and Eamon believed in abiding by the rules when he could. The letter was made to my Uncle Sean, and it was a formal request for my hand in marriage. Such a letter could not be ignored, nor might it be dismissed with a straight refusal. Not if the writer were a kinsman and ally. Did you bring donuts? Ugh.
Donuts?
It's terrible.
Coffee to go with your donut?
Yes, please. Sorry. I'm gonna eat a donut.
Where's your coffee cup at, madame?
Good night, Cassie. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a while. I hope you have a good day tomorrow and a good night's rest. No. I'm such a sucker for pastries. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'll probably feel gross after eating it, but I don't have them very often. Those ones are very good. Which jelly though? Like, do you like the strawberry? Or do you like blackberry? By far the easiest way to win me over is to just bring me pastries. You know? It's pretty simple. What about the Bavarian cream-filled ones, though? I miss apple fritters and honey cruller. Oh, yeah. I don't really like apple fritters. I don't know, I have this weird thing, like, I'll eat it. There's, like, very few things that I won't eat as long as it's food. But I don't like cooked apples. I don't know what it is. Like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, sure, apple pie, let's do it. But for the most part, I'm just like, no, I don't want cooked apples. Yeah, don't be a jerk. If you're not a jerk, we will have no problems. You too, Maddie? Yeah, I don't know. It's like such a weird thing. Like, there's all these pork entrees that will mix cooked apples with pork. And I understand the science behind it, and I understand that they're good combinations, but I don't want it.
Do you want another donut, or you just want the one?
No, just one's good. I should not have 2 donuts. Maybe later. Also, I won't have escargot again. Well, at least you could say you tried it. When I had it, it was smothered in garlic and butter, so it was just kind of like, yeah, you'd smother anything with garlic and butter and it's probably edible. For a long time, I didn't eat cherries because when I was little, I choked on one and I just like had this aversion to it. Obviously, as an adult, I was like, well, duh. Cherries are fine, but still, I do not like cherry flavor or grape flavor, like the fake stuff. I can't do it. Probably because of all that cough syrup we had growing up, right? It was a donut. It was a donut. I took a wee break to eat a donut. I think it depends on how much sugar you add when you're cooking it. You can't have donut, I'm sorry. I know. It's like, Mom, you're gonna share with me, right? Oh, really, Mila? Yeah, making them is good. Come here. Why are you up there? Dad's gonna get mad at you. Come on. You're gonna get in trouble.
Get down.
Come on.
Get down.
It's the celiac thing, yeah. I would imagine so. I would totally be on cooking them myself if I was in your situation, Milo. Oh yeah, Maddie? Okay, that's good. Very good. Just let me know when. I'm working on someone else's cover currently. It's a different style though, so I don't mind working on both. Ooh. Good morning, Road to Faith. Yes. Hello to Booze Butt. Just his tail. Uh-oh. No, TikTok ended. You know what? Just such a pain in the butt. Oh no, and Jessie the Fearless sent a heart and I didn't get to say thank you. Why does it do this?
You gotta have eyes like a hawk.
Apparently.
Like
Should I start it up again?
It's gonna leave TikTok off.
I don't know.
So
We don't like hardly get anybody in there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to bring it back up.
I feel like using this thing doesn't help. We used to get so many people on TikTok.
Yeah.
Now it's nothing, and that seems suspicious. It's very suspicious.
Well, I mean, we also used to get tens of thousands of views on TikTok, and now we get a few hundred.
Mm-hmm.
So.
The donut was too distracting. That's probably it.
Let you know.
Probably Maddie. That would be helpful. Okay. Let me see how long we've got. Dang. Alright, we still have like 14 pages. Oh no! Stop using foul language, me too.
If they call you.
No, it was inactivity because it will get a pop-up that's like, drag this puzzle piece to the spot where it goes in order to keep going. It thinks I'm being inactive. Yeah, I saw you rewarded it. That's funny. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. It kind of happened when they changed the way you could do the streams on TikTok. It's probably better when we have the phone set up and we stream from the phone. I think we end up getting a lot more people. But we have TikTok Live Studio on the desktop, and we've been using that. And it's just like, it tanked. It majorly tanked. We're having ads again. I feel like that wasn't very long ago. Am I crazy? Am I wrong? That's funny, Maddie. You just like accidentally clicked her name. Ugh, so hot. There was this cute little fan at Home Goods. I was like, oh, we should get that because you get so hot sitting around all the computer equipment. I'm like, but you won't be able to use it during stream because you'll hear it. Hello, Gunnar. You are late. We've been on for almost an hour and a half. But welcome in anyway. Okay, I will read. We have a couple of snoozes, so I'll go ahead and keep a reading. Okie dokie artichoke. Where did I leave off? Eamon sent a letter. Can't be refused or ignored, rather. Here we go. Such a letter could not be ignored, nor might it be dismissed with a straight refusal. Not if the writer were a kinsman and ally. It did not seem to make any difference that Eamon had already told such a match was out of the question. Indeed, the man did not appear to understand the word no. He made his request with courtesy, indicating that there was no expectation of a dowry. My circumstances being what they were, he added that, in view of the impending risks of the summer, it was his preference that the marriage take place in spring. At Imbolc, maybe. There was another message to be read behind these words. I would be established at Glencarna before summer, and accepted as his wife. There was every likelihood he would get me with child before his departure on the great campaign. If he were slain, he would at least have left an heir behind him. This unwritten message would be clear enough to Sean. As for me, I could see Eamon's true intention. He wished to stamp the brand of ownership on me. Now that he knew what I could do, he wanted to be certain it was his will I worked, and not another's. Information, secrets, intelligence. With me by his side, no opportunity would be closed to him. Best establish that before the campaign began. It had occurred to him, perhaps, that there were possibilities in our union that went far beyond the elimination of one particular enemy. Well, welcome in, and thank you so much for the raid. Nerderine? Netherine. I'm not sure what the correct pronunciation is, but I'm doing my best. But thank you so much. Welcome in. We are reading Child of the Prophecy by Juliet Marie. And it is steeped in Irish myth and lore. We are snoozing ads. I just kind of like let the timer get low and then I hit snooze. Then I let it get low and then I snooze. I hate that Twitch makes you do ads so often. I feel like we don't get enough time in between. But yes, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys enjoy listening to stories. Thank you so much, Frost. I appreciate that. Especially since I get engrossed in the reading, so I might miss the appropriate time to hit snooze. Okay. Okay. Sean showed me the letter in private. We love stories, awesome. And you do writing, awesome. Very good. Always happy to have another author in here. We enjoy all of the creatives. That I appreciated, not wishing to have Aunt Leodin watching over such an encounter. I read the missive quickly and gave it back to him. Very formal, I commented. My uncle raised his brows. You're skilled at reading, I see, he said. Father taught me. Connor taught him. I suppose I might be called a scholar. Maybe, if you do not allow me to wed, I could seek employment as a household scribe. Sean glanced at me quizzically. I think not. Connor saw you as a druid. Would you consider such a calling? My kind cannot do so. My tone was cold. You should know that, uncle. I am my father's daughter, after all. And your mother's, Fanya. She was my own sister. I owe it to her to make the right choices for you. You chose poorly for her, I said bitterly. Maybe, and maybe not. It is true that ill fortune befell her. Still, at the time the family did what seemed right. Nobody could have known how it would unfold. Don't think me heartless, Fanya. But in a way, Neve brought what happened on herself. She chose a man she could not have. I glared at him. But for that I would not exist, uncle. I am the child of a forbidden liaison. Don't you think this marriage is my best chance to make something of myself? Sean sighed and went to sit by the small table. You should talk to Leodin about this, he said. Some aspects of the matter are best discussed between women. No, I said quickly. That should not be necessary. Just give me one good reason why Eamon and I should not wed. One reason beyond the difference in our ages, for that should be of no import providing I am willing. I thought I had backed him into a corner, where he must reveal to me the truth about whatever it was between Eamon and Leodin. Some secret they both guarded tightly, from which great bitterness had come. But he was too good a strategist for that. Very well, he said. We need your father's permission. Leodin tells me she is certain he will not give it. But if you are set on this match, let us put it to the test. Tell me where Kiaran can be found, and I will send a messenger with this news and ask for his blessing on the marriage. No! I could not control my fear. No, you can't do that. Once the words were out, they could not be taken back. Sean looked at me very shrewdly. I see, he said. However, we must respond to this letter one way or another, or Eamon will be on the doorstep demanding answers. You've put me in a very awkward situation, niece. I'm sorry, I muttered. Never mind. Connor arrives in the morning to perform the solstice ritual. We'll discuss it with him and with Leodin before we decide on how to word our response. Brigade save us, I think sometimes I've slipped back to a time when such an offer came for your mother, and she refused so much as to listen. Already then the sorceress who was our family's old enemy had her hand on us once more, moving us like pieces in some game of her own devising. Perhaps when it comes to it, poor Neve didn't have a chance. I turned cold. I thought of my mother, stepping off a ledge into nothingness, and of Leodin's words. That always seemed to me impossible. A terrible idea lodged itself in my mind and refused to go away. Perhaps Neve had not given up. Perhaps her second chance had been snatched away from her. You need not be afraid of Leodin, Sean said with a little smile. She loved her sister, and means you no harm. Afraid? Of course I'm not afraid. Even to me this sounded unconvincing. I looked at my uncle again. He sat relaxed, his fingers stroking the head of the great dog that sat beside him. The hound's eyes were half closed in sheer pleasure. At Sean's feet another dog lay sleeping. It's just... Tell me, Fanya. His voice was kind. I wish you to feel at home here, you know that. I want you to consider yourself no different from my own daughters, while you remain with us. It's just the power, the ability to speak without words, to look into people's thoughts. She has that, I know. I'm afraid of that, Uncle. Afraid that Aunt Leodin will look into my mind and see things that are private. Why had I said such a thing? It could do nothing but arouse his suspicions. A girl of my age does have secrets, I added hastily. Things she might tell her best friend, maybe, but no one else. You should speak to her, Sean said again. It is true, there are those of the family with this ability. Its strength varies in us. Leodin has a powerful gift, shared by only one other that I know of, but she never uses it to spy or intrude where she is unwanted, Vanya. Such a gift brings with it great responsibility. It cannot be used lightly. It would perhaps be only at a time when she believed those she loved to be in mortal danger that she would be tempted to use it thus. His words did nothing to reassure me. I see. Perhaps I will talk to her. Must this be discussed in some family forum, aired in front of all, Connor and the others? My uncle nodded gravely. I believe so, Fanya. We must choose our words with care when we frame a reply to Eamon. He's an influential man, and we cannot afford to anger him. I had not seen Connor since the time of the fire. He had not seen me since he bore the ancient druid home to rest in the quiet deep under the great oaks. I did not know what I would say to Connor. It seemed to me my guilt must be shown on my features, to one who knew how to read such things. It seemed to me the evil spirit I had inherited from my grandmother must show stark in my eyes, to one as skilled as an archdruid. I was sitting by Maeve, telling a story. Despite my best efforts to say no, I found I could not deny her repeated request for me to visit her, and that once seated by her side, I was unable to refuse her a tale. This time I had begun with a story of two small friends, and how they nearly got trapped by the tide. Maeve and I were not alone. Maureen was busy with a mortar and pestle, and the dark-skinned young man, Evan, was in the next room tending to a fellow with a nasty gash on the buttock. Wild pigs roamed the forest, and in his efforts to spear a fine specimen for the midwinter feast, this man had got more than he'd bargained for. The tusk had gone in and out cleanly enough. Evan was talking reassuringly as he stitched the wound. Before the small fire stood Johnny. He'd come in after I started, and I had thought to seize the tale, being unwilling to reveal myself thus before him. But Maeve said, "Go on, please, Vanya," in her polite little voice. And Johnny gave his wide, disarming grin, and I continued. Well, what were they to do? The waves were getting higher, and the day was growing darker, and all that was left of the beach was a tiny little strip of sand scarce wide enough for Fanya's 2 feet to stand on. She was scared, but she wouldn't let on to Derek, so she didn't say a thing, just clutched Riona tight and looked at the water coming closer, and felt the rock wall steep behind her, too steep to climb up. Maeve watched me solemnly. Her head was still bandaged, the eye at least had healed. The swelling gone down, the vision still intact. Her hands were swathed. I knew Maureen took off the linen strips twice a day, and made Maeve move and bend her fingers. I had heard the child weeping with pain as she stretched the damaged skin. Maureen herself tended to emerge from these sessions red-eyed. Then Derek said, "We'll have to swim, it's not so far. Just to those rocks there, and then we can scramble to the jetty. Give Riona to me, and I'll carry her." And Fanya said in a little wee voice, "I can't swim." Derek stared at her, with the water coming up around his ankles, and then he said, "Don't suppose I can leave you to drown, can I? Think you can float on your back and not panic? I'll swim for the 2 of us. Here to go out away. The waves will come quick." As he spoke, he was fastening Riona to his belt and wading into the sea. The waves were splashing onto the base of the cliff now. Vanya felt the water up to her knees, dragging at her skirt. The very thought of going in deeper made her tremble all over. But she would not show Derek she was frightened. So she did as he bid, moved out into the frothing sea and let it come all around her so she was chilled through. Felt Derek's arms under her own and across her chest, holding her safe, and then they were moving through the water, letting it carry them. Vanya had never been so scared. Sometimes the water splashed over her, into her mouth and up her nose, and once Derek's grip slackened and she nearly went right under. It was cold as ice, and she felt the power of the ocean as it bore them up and down, up and down. Once she dared open her eyes and look back, but she closed them again quickly, for they were far, far out from the shore. So far it seemed impossible that Derek could ever swim back again, not with her weighing him down. She screwed her eyes tight shut. "Look, Vanya," said Derek. "We've got company. Now that's a rare sight, that is." He sounded quite like himself. Not at all like a boy who was in danger of drowning. He was hardly even out of breath. Cautiously, she opened one eye just a bit, and there beside them, to right and left, swam great sleek creatures of the deep, keeping pace like graceful guardians. Selkies they were, children of Manon and Maclear, come to see them safe to shore. All the way across the bay they played, diving and circling, dancing in the water, and Vanya stared spellbound, quite forgetting to be afraid. And at length, there were the smooth rocks at the end of the bay, and Derek and Vanya scrambled out of the water, shivering with cold and grinning from ear to ear. The two Selkies swam away, with never a look back. But for a while they could be seen playing a game of chase out beyond the waves. "They do say," said Derek, watching, "that the Selkies are part human. Did you know that? Sometimes they come ashore and take off their skins and become men and women again, for a while. But they have to go back. The sea calls them. It's an enchantment laid on them, that's what they say." Vanya nodded, and the two of them walked home, cold and wet and tired, but not unhappy. As for Riona, she had a bath she didn't want, but she dried out soon enough before the hearth fire, and what she thought of the whole thing nobody knew, for she wasn't saying. Maeve gave a little sigh of satisfaction, and I looked up, and there in the doorway from the next room was Connor. "A true story, no doubt," he observed gravely, coming forward to greet Maureen and Johnny, and to touch the child's head with a gentle hand. "Oh, yes," said Maeve with certainty. "All of Vanya's stories are true. Well, maybe not the one about the Cluricon, but Derek's real." "Indeed," Johnny was grinning, eyebrows raised as he looked at me. "Such a fine swimmer, too. I'd like to meet the lad myself, I think. Sounds a useful sort of fellow to have around." "Well, you're unlikely to," I said repressively. "He lives far away, in the west, and the stories are not quite true, and not quite untrue." "That's the way of it with all the best tales," said Connor. "You learned this art from your father, I think," he added quietly. "He'd the same ability to hold us all spellbound with his words." That was the last news? Okay. Then I suppose we must run the ad. It's gonna be 3 minutes, and then we will be back. Oh, goodness. Also, I dyed my eggs finally for the Eggs of Astara Tavern Fair. It only took forever. I had to get the right stuff to do the dye. Close this. This chapter is very long. We've probably lost a few people to sleep. We're almost there. We're getting there. I'm gonna try to finish it before we end tonight. One more minute. I think I need to trim my hair. It's quite long for this. Can like wrap it around myself. Not a lot. I like keeping my hair long, but getting all frayed on the ends. I was gonna do it today, but ended up not having enough time. Okay. Ad break is done. Thank you very much, Frost. Appreciate you. Okay. Alright, no problem. Have a good night. Thank you for spending some time with us this evening. Get a good sleep. And hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday when Castle is going to read. Excuse me. I jumped to my feet and fled, muttering something about things to do. When I was safe in my room, I willed myself to calm and stood before the mirror and summoned the craft. But my mind was jumbled and sad, and I could not escape my own haunted features staring grimly back at me. In the end, I gave up. I opened my wooden chest and, rummaging deep, took out the silken shawl which once, long ago, in another life, I had worn to ride to the fair. I sat on the floor with its drift of summertime colors around my shoulders, and I shut my eyes tight and rocked back and forth, and I whispered, "I'm sorry." But whether I spoke to my father, or to Derek, or simply to myself, there was no telling. To give in to such weakness was dangerous. It showed a lamentable lack of self-control. My father had never let his feelings get the better of him thus. How disappointed he would be if he could see me. And yet there were those long times when he shut himself away in the workroom and would not let me near. Did he wrestle with the complex practice of the craft? Or was it something else he fought? I had seen him emerge at the end of the day with just such an expression of confusion and self-loathing as I read on my own features now. Then I had put it down to the great challenges he set himself as a master sorcerer. Now suddenly I was not so sure. As a child, I would have done anything to take away his sadness, to bring that rare smile to his lips, and yet, when this mood was on him, he would shrug off touch, would cut short my anxious queries. Later he would do his best to make up for it, sharing a tale by the fire, listening patiently as I recounted the small events of my day. I had longed to make his world right, and had known I could not. My love for him had colored my life then, and it did so still. It was my grandmother's strongest weapon, and it bound me to a future of shadows and betrayal. I could not escape Connor. He found me before supper as I undertook an errand for Aunt Aisling. It was in the kitchens, where there was another set of eyes that I'd sooner have avoided. The old woman, Janice, had not said much to me since I returned from Glencarna, but what she had said had made me more than uncomfortable. "I always knew," she remarked, fixing her dark, probing gaze on me, "that your mother would invite trouble, and she did. Seems as if you're no different." "What do you mean?" I snapped, outraged at such a ridiculous accusation. "Did he find you?" was her next effort. "Who?" I glared at her. "Who do you think?" There was a pause. I realized I had clenched my hands tight. I forced myself to relax them. "I didn't see him," I told her coolly. "Didn't or wouldn't? What's it to you?" How dared she interrogate me thus? "Alas, I'm old enough to speak the truth without fear. Maybe you won't listen. Neve didn't care to listen. If what I had to say didn't suit her. You'll do a thing you'll regret forever if you break that boy's heart." "That's nonsense," I said, shivering, but my tone had lost its certainty. "Hearts and breaking of them don't come into this. Derek was my friend, that's all. He's gone away now. He has a sweetheart in Connemara, a lovely girl who knows all about horses and has such a father. It's very suitable. There's no hearts in it, not for him and me." Janice sighed and gave a little smile which had no joy in it at all. "I saw the look in his eyes, lass. Seems to me you don't know the worth of what you cast aside. Seems to me you can't see your way at all." "I can," I whispered, wondering why it was I stayed by her listening, letting her hurt me so much with her words. It's just because of this, because I know these things, that I must do as I do. It is better this way. Better for Derek, better for everyone." Janice was scrutinizing me closely. "That's not the way it works, lass," she said quietly. "You can't order folks' lives and their feelings to suit what you think's best. Grew up with Derek, didn't you?" I nodded tight-lipped. He told me." "And did he ever once let you make the choices for him?" I shook my head. "Well then." "I know what's best," I said fiercely. Janice reached out her knobbly old fingers and took my hand. Her touch was surprisingly gentle. "There's a lot of weeping in it, lass," she said. All I could do was nod, for her words brought back the little image I had seen in my dreams, night after night, ever since the day I turned a girl into a fish and let her own mother make an end of her with a kitchen knife. I saw myself racked by such anguish it threatened to tear me apart. "I can't help that," I said in strangled tones, and then I fled. After that, I did my best to stay away from Janice. Still, there were errands, and it was unthinkable not to do them, for in this household, Aunt Aisling's word is law. So I was there in the kitchen, asking the cook to send some men down to some barn or other to collect chickens, and Janice sat silent by the fire, watching me. And on the other side of the hearth was Connor, doing just the same. "Ah," he said with a smile, "the very girl I need to see. Come, Fanya, let us take a short walk together. I have a proposition for you." There was no refusing. I found a cloak hanging near the fire. Connor put his hood up. It had been snowing again, and we left the mark of our boots in the pristine white as we walked down the track toward the forest. There was that strange sort of warmth in the air which presages more snow before nightfall. I waited for the druid to speak. I tried to anticipate what his questions might be, and to form convincing answers in my head. He might ask me about the fire and my part in it. He might speak of deaths and injuries. He might ask me again why I had come here. Perhaps it was of my marriage he would wish to speak, to tell me how impossible it was. We celebrate Main Gevra tomorrow, said Connor. You proved an able assistant last time, Fanya. Will you perform this duty for me again? I struggled to find a reply. I cannot imagine why you would want me to do so. It would not be at all appropriate. No? Asked Connor, smiling a little. And why would that be? I could not tell the truth. That my acting thus would be a travesty. On the night of Samhain, I had let myself pretend that I was one of the family. On the night of Samhain, my grandmother had come, and I had made that fire. I can't, I said bluntly. You know I can never belong to the Order of the Wise Ones. You knew my father could not, but you lied to him and let him think it was possible all those years. It was like promising someone a wonderful prize if they worked hard enough for it, and then, when they'd earned it, snatching it away. No wonder my father still speaks of you with bitterness. I cannot be a druid, uncle. I cannot do these things. I am not fit for it. It was a long time before Connor replied. If I had upset him, I told myself I did not care. It was time he faced the truth of what he had done. He sat down on the stone wall, near the place where the track made its way under the leafless trees into the shadows of the forest. I stood by him looking out over the lake. I remember your grandfather rebuilding this wall, stone by stone, he remarked eventually. A wise and patient teacher was Hugh of Harrowfield. He taught the men here the right way to do it, but he played his own part. Always he showed by example. There's a trick to it, a knowledge. You have to run the stones with the length of them across the wall line, and their thinnest section must be laid horizontal. That way the stones support one another, and do not break under pressure. Like a great family, these stones, the strong support the weak, but each plays its part in the enduring whole. I made no comment. It seemed this was a learning tale. What you said is not correct, Fanya, Connor said gravely. I understand why you might think it so, for it was what your father believed. That because he was the son of a sorceress, he was forbidden the powers of the light, the higher practice of the craft. Once that idea was fixed in his mind, no argument could shake it. I tried to tell him, that night when he came to the house and we let him know the truth about his parentage, but he would not listen. How can it be wrong? Our blood is evil. No matter how hard we try, all of our choices lead to darkness. There's no controlling that, I know. Connor sighed. You're very young, Fanya. How can you say this with such certainty? Because that's what happens to me, I whispered. There's no point in pretending any differently. I cannot believe that, child. It's true, Uncle. It's not just what my father chose to believe. It's an old, old thing. The tale of what we are. We are descended from one of the Tuatha, the fair folk. From one who was cast out for practicing a dark form of the craft. She summoned up something evil and let it loose in the world. So the fair folk banished her, and forbade her higher magic. It is so for all of her descendants. Now Connor was looking at me very intently indeed. An interesting tale, he said. But just a tale after all. Where did you hear this, Fanya? My father said it is so. And where did he hear it, I wonder? One can choose to believe such stories or not, but I will give you a counter-argument which you cannot but believe, for it is based on proven fact. I waited. Now tell me, have you ever seen your father employ the craft for an ill purpose? No, I replied reluctantly. But that's different. My father made a choice. He told me. He said our kind are drawn to evil, but one can always choose not to use the craft. Ugh, my throat is failing. We're so close. I'm gonna try, but I don't know if my voice is gonna make it. Which is tragic when we're so close to the end. Okay. Connor nodded gravely. So, he does not exercise his skills at all. I frowned. He practices, for what there is no telling. Perhaps merely to challenge himself, to fill the empty days. He used to demonstrate in order to teach me, but he did use it once. I glanced at the druid. He saved the folk of the cove when the Norsemen came. They still tell of it. So, said Connor, the only time he used it, it was to do great good. Folk died, I said. There was a flaxen-haired warrior, washed up on the shore among the splinters of the longships. It's a complicated business. Sometimes it's hard to extricate right from wrong, Fanya. And you are young yet and barely started on your training. What does that mean? I snapped, somewhat affronted that he considered me a mere beginner. We've spoken of your father, but what of you? You say you can only walk a path into darkness because of what you are. I tell you that is wrong. You do have the choice. Yes, you are the granddaughter of a sorceress. But your other grandmother was my sister, Sorsha, whom they sometimes call the daughter of the forest. She was the strongest of women, great of heart, pure of spirit, well beloved in this household and this community. Your grandfather, Hugh of Harrowfield, was a stalwart and admirable man, for all he was a Briton. You carry that heritage too, Fanya. You are one of us, whether you wish it to or not. And you're wrong about the craft. Theoden told me what happened with Sybil, on the way from Glencarnel. You used your skills for good then. I'm sure there have been other times. I felt as if I was going to cry. I've done some very bad things, Uncle. It felt as if the words were being squeezed out of me despite myself. Terrible things that I cannot tell you. If the family knew these things, I would be cast out as my father was. Ciaran was never cast out. Connor's voice was calm, but the shadow of an old pain still lingered there. He chose to leave. He chose a perilous path. I believe he sought her out, the Lady Oonagh. The Lady Oonagh. He raised his brows. His mother, the sorceress. Is that her name? I always just called her grandmother. Sometimes you say something, and once the words are out, you know they should never have been spoken. But it was too late to unsay them. I watched Connor's expression change, saw the serene confidence vanish to be replaced by a pallid tightness that almost suggested fear. I wrenched my gaze away, looking again down to the empty waters of the lake, today gray and sullen under the heavy winter sky. You, he ventured and cleared his throat. Tell me, Fanya, he said with more control. Was your grandmother present during your growing years in Kerry? I thought he chose his words with the utmost care. As for me, I had let the conversation stray into very dangerous waters. I had lost control of it and of myself. That was Druids for you. With my upbringing, I should have known better. No, Uncle. She was there for a little. I grew up with just my father, as I told you. If he believed the craft would lead you into evil, why did he teach you thus? I had no answer for this. Come, he said. It grows chill, let us walk back. Yes, Uncle. We made our way up to the keep in silence. I was torn by conflicting feelings, chiefly fear of my grandmother's fury if she had observed our interchange. But beyond this fear there was a terror far stronger, that perhaps Connor might be right. Was it possible that, after all, I might not be evil through and through, but might aspire to something different? That thought was cruel. Surely it was no more than the vain hope that had once been dangled before my father, then rudely snatched away. And yet I had saved Sybil. I had done good without even thinking about it. As we made our way up to the main door, where boys were busy sweeping snow from the pathways, and girls, well wrapped in scarves and shawls, were hanging garlands of greenery about the entry, I remembered that time at the fair. There had been no reason to stop that fellow from playing his nasty tricks, no need to release his furred and feathered captives, beyond a sense of what was right. But I had done it. I had been wearing the amulet, and still I had done it. The idea Connor had put into my mind was so terrifying, I wished with all my heart it had never been spoken. But once there it lodged firm and could not be shaken. Indeed, I realized the truth had been creeping up on me for a long time now. From the moment I had restrung grandmother's little charm on that strange cord of many fibers, this new possibility had been growing in my mind. Something in that necklace seemed to work against the evil of the talisman, something bright and fine. Maybe it was love, or family, perhaps both. I was glad my grandmother had never mastered the art of looking into a person's thoughts, the art my Aunt Leodin was so said to possess in abundance. For this was an idea my grandmother was not to be allowed to see. That night I put out the hearth fire in my chamber and sat shivering in the light and the single candle. The shadows danced across the walls, keeping time with my thudding heart. It was snowing outside. The quiet was profound. I had believed I had no choice but to do as my grandmother wished. Attempt a fearful task of grandiose proportions. Impossible as that seemed, I had planned to do it, for I was bound by fear, and by my belief that sooner or later I could do nothing but work her will and follow the evil path to which my cursed blood bound me. Daunting, but in its way easy, because it was inevitable and out of my control. But I had been wrong. The power of the amulet had twisted my mind and dulled my ability to reason. It had made me blind to all but what she wanted me to see. Through it she had worked her ill deeds, and made me believe they were my own. A powerful sorceress indeed, but maybe not so powerful. She had never explained why she could not simply kill the child of prophecy herself, and end this once and for all. All she had said was that events must unfold according to the ancient foretelling. And that night when I had taken off the amulet, she had come rushing to find out what I was doing. She really had been afraid of me, afraid of what I might do if I escaped her control. A momentous unfolding of events, my father had said, and something about finding the right purpose for my gifts. Very well. It seemed I had found the purpose now, though I trembled to contemplate it. I could give my father back his life. I could show him that our kind might indeed aspire toward the light. I could ensure these folk were not robbed of the chance to win their battle and save their islands. They were my family. Wise Connor so disconcertingly like my father, and Shun, who seemed to want only the best for me. Aunt Aisling treated me as if I were her own daughter. Then there was Leodin, whose love for her sister still showed in her eyes, and Johnny, the perfect son. And what about the girls, now so much a part of my life? I was hard put to imagine the time when their tears and chatter had not sounded like a sweet discordant music through the quiet of my days. When this was over, whatever happened, there could be no place for me here among them, I knew that. And Carrie would be lonely now. Even in summertime, I could never make up for the terrible wrongs I had done. The past could not be remade. But I could tread a different path if I dared from this point on. It would be a path of fear and sacrifice. In time, perhaps a path of redemption. The Lady Oonagh was strong. I must be even stronger. Okay, that was the end of chapter 10. We got through it. Okay, who fell asleep? Who's still awake? Oh, okay. Yes, I will drink my water. Maddie is sleep typing. Sleepily typing. Ugh, yeah. Managed to make it through. You are very welcome, Kemian. I hope you are liking the story. You guys have been troopers sticking through it for so long. I mean, we started reading Daughter of the Forest ages ago. What, 2 years ago now? Something like that? Almost. Something. It is a good story. There are some other 7 water books, and she has some other series, trilogies. Not your usual read. It's nice to do something different. Yeah, maybe, Milu. You could be right. Did we start last May? Or 2 Mays ago? I can't remember. It's been so long. I lose track of time with all the different things we got going on. Honestly. Yeah, that might be the case, Maddie. That might be the case. Yeah. Okay. Then maybe that is how it is. You feel older now? Okay, so almost 2 years, yeah. Almost 2 years. Yeah. It'll have been 2 years in May, I think, when I started. Which, yeah, because it's 1 year, 10 months, so yeah, May, June. Alright, thank you so much, Frost. I appreciate the help and the company, and I appreciate all of you for sticking through the story with me. I know it's been a while, and you only get it once a week. I really appreciate that. We'll see you on Tuesday, Frost. Get a good sleep. Alright, now you guys get to decide. Are we heading to bed, or would you like a song or two? Of course we do. Yeah, I can. It's kind of like, it just gets a little hard when you are trying to keep the same tone for an extended amount of time. And Bonnie? Okay. It's alright, I mean, if I strain my voice, I have a whole week to recover. So, well, to be fair, I should be reading something else for Patreon. I keep putting that off. I need to set up a quiet space. We used to have, like, this closet set up for us to read in, but that's no longer an option, so we're gonna have to figure something out. But yeah, I could do Anne Bonnie. Yes, I need a little book nook. I need a house that's filled with bookshelves. And I can put all my books in there, and then that will, like, help with the noise, too. But yeah, we can do Anne Bonnie. Do-do-do. Yeah, it's quick. It is very quick. And you don't have to set up the payment stuff right away. You can just get the account going. Oops, I forgot this is the wrong thing. No. What is going on here? Okay, here we go. It's the wrong browser. You can tell we use different computers. Lost. Alright. Here we go. I have all payments held everywhere. Okay, here we go. Villainous, Infamous, and Bonnie. Which is a fun one. It's a nice little story. Oh, I'll tell you a tale of a pirate queen, a she-wolf who reigned the Caribbean Sea, with a pistol ready and a cutlass keen, the villainous, infamous, and Bonnie. Born in Ireland scandalously, bastard daughter to a prosperous lawyer, shunned suitor in society for the love of a pirate boy. So Calico Jack and our Anne Bonny, passionate lovers, villainous plunderers, sailed off for a life of piracy on a ship, the Revenge, ahoy! Oh, I'll tell you a tale of a pirate queen, a she-wolf who reigned the Caribbean Sea, with a pistol ready and a cutlass keen, the villainous, infamous, Anne Bonny. But this was the 18th century, where men made knives and women made wives, so Anne disguised herself to be a deadly pirate boy. Oh, she plundered and murdered and raided the sea, with cannons roaring, pistols warring, she ravaged galleons mercilessly. Oh, Anne Bonny. Then a fellow pirate caught a glance, her naked chest, a woman's breast, so she drew her cutlass and took a stand to be Anne the pirate queen. We're good. I'll tell you a tale of a pirate queen, a she-wolf who reigned the Caribbean Sea, with a pistol ready and a cutlass keen, the villainous, infamous, Anne Bonny. And that's when Anne met Mary Read, a pirate siren, female tyrant. Together they terrorized the sea, a buccaneering team. Oh, they plundered and murdered and raided the sea, with cannons roaring, pistols warring, they ravaged galleons mercilessly. Anne and Mary Read. On October 1720, gold they struck, so the boys got drunk. An easy opportunity for a ship of British Marines. Anne and Mary fought alone, with cutlass flying, pistols firing. They fought hard for their ocean throne, but lost their victory. And so the crew were captured, thrown in prison, death by hanging. But Anne Bonny was pardoned, for her belly held the child. So she paid her Jack a visit, and this she said, with no tear shed: "If you had fought like a man, you wouldn't be about to die like a dog." And she turned on her heel, walked out the door, and vanished into legend. Oh, I'll tell you a tale of a pirate queen, a she-wolf who reigned the Caribbean Sea, with a pistol ready and a cutlass keen, the villainous, infamous Anne Bonny. Yeah, she was savage for sure. I think she was just a little salty about losing. Oh, nice. There you go. Some, named after one of the pirate ladies. But yeah, she was brutal. Dino is napping. Oops, that's okay. Oh yeah, I forgot you guys wanted a little dancing dragon. I gotta put that on the list for to-do stuff. All right, my dears, I think it is time to head to bed. Okay, I will put it on the list, put it somewhere where I see it so I don't forget. I will work on that. Okie dokie. All right. Of course, you are very welcome. I hope you guys have a good sleep and the good rest of your night. And we will see you again soon. Hopefully. Good night, good night. Good night, good night.